What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Brown Fox Podcast. My name is Matt, and joining alongside me, as always, Big Joe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm ready to go, and it's going to be a good podcast episode. And with us today, we have another special guest on the pod, Blake. How's it going?
Mate, it is an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming along. We are keen to get into an awesome discussion with you today. To be honest, we have no real set agenda, so we're keen to see where this goes. But we do know that you've had a lot of experience with video, even dating back, working with Brown Fox, a little while ago now. So we're keen to get into the discussion. But before we get into you and your experience with video, as always, it is now time for a little bit of this. Dad jokes. You haven't got one prepared, have you?
Dude. Have you heard of the shop called Moderation?
Straight in. Hey?
Have you heard of the shop called Moderation?
Moderate. No, you'll have to tell me about it.
They've got everything in there. Everything in moderation, folks.
Yep.
What do you call a duck that's addicted?
A duck that's
Addicted.
Not sure.
A quackhead. Okay. Over to
Nice
you.
one.
There it is.
All right, I got one.
Here we go.
I never really liked facial hair, but then it grew on me.
I've had that one before.
Nice.
That's a good
That's
one.
a good one.
I wish.
One more.
All right. Okay.
6:30 is hands down the best time.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that before. Cue the meme zoom on Matt's face right now.
I still don't get it.
6:30 is hands down.
Oh, that was a good one.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm a bit slow today. All right, let's get the worst one out of the way. How does the moon cut his hair?
How?
Eclipse it.
That one felt good. Felt that one.
Oh no, it's all over now.
Wow.
So that's dad jokes. So
Audience retention.
yeah, well, they've all dropped off now. No, but thanks again, Blake, for coming on the show today. Blake, you've actually been on the podcast before, but well before my time at Brown Fox. When were you on the? It was way back in the.
So if anyone wants to find out, it was December the 17th, 2019.
Wow.
The only reason I know that is because I checked it half an hour ago.
That's the
Search
way.
for significance.
So obviously you've been on the podcast before, but it's been a few years. So to anyone who don't really know who you are, if you could just introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about yourself.
So Blake Randall, I run a personal training company locally in Brisbane across 5 different sites. Been doing so for the last 5.5 years now. And from a perspective of importance, the whole reason I wanted to come on here was to really just inform the audience how important video really is for the company. I mean, I've seen many very, very good business professionals over my time, either training them or consulting with them. And then I go to their website to find out more, and there's not really any substance to know more. And so it's something I adopted quite early on and look forward to getting into it.
So what has been your experience with video then? Let's go straight in.
All right. Well, when I first began as a sole trader back about 9 years ago now, I still remember I had my first handful of clients, and I really wanted to get the word out about what we were able to achieve. And so what I did was I set up I think it was an Anko iPhone 5 stand. Represent.
Nice.
How good?
Yeah, very good. And so from there, I just began filming in the gym. I had no mic, had nothing. So what I would do is I'd go out to the car park and I would start filming the client, just giving a testimonial. There was no structure to it. It was just more like, I know you've gotten a good result, but how do we package this up? And so I would get this footage and then I would go to the local McDonald's because probably back then I probably had maybe 5 megabytes per sec. Is that it? MPS? MPS? Yeah. My speed at home was terrible anyway. Long story short. So I used the McDonald's Wi-Fi. You had to get something to get the Wi-Fi code back then. So I would always get a soft serve.
Nice. Go to.
And so, yeah, look, it'd be really late at night, be like 9:30. Sometimes the drunks would come in, but I'd put my earphones in and I'd start editing on Windows Movie Maker.
Yes.
And I guarantee you they're probably still on the internet somewhere, the OG videos. But I just knew how important it was for brand recognition, but also for social proof because back then I was no one, kid, just starting out. And I needed something to talk for me that wasn't me. Because I can't, like, if I start saying how good I am, I just look like a douche. So I might as well have someone else help me do that.
Fair enough. That's kind of how you started out with video, and then it kind of, well, okay, let me ask this question. How did you, because obviously you've done some video then with Brown Fox a few years ago. How did you, so obviously you and Joe are good mates now. And did you know Joe previously, or how did you kind of get connected?
I don't remember
Brown
the timeline
Fox?
specifically if Joe was still an engineer. Were you still an engineer at the time? Okay.
No, Brisbane and engineer, we're not one and the same. That was
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So Joe came over to my house on one occasion, didn't know who he was, but came over and we had a chat and he said that he was going into videography or was a videographer. And I was like, sweet, I need videos done because it had been a considerable amount of time, like 20. So even then, you fast forward a few years, even 2018, I would film it on the couch. Like there was a couch in the gym, but then again, you hear all this background noise, didn't know how to edit. I was doing subtitles by myself. It looked horrible, nice big green subtitles.
On brand.
On brand, yeah, really on brand, not really. So yeah, I needed to get it done because we were growing at a fast rate, but I needed somehow to, once again capture what we were doing. And so thankfully Joe was there, and so Brown Fox filmed several testimonial videos for us. I want to say 3 of them are actually on the front page of our website as we speak, even though these videos were captured 4 years ago. And then he also filmed one of our seminar nights as well. Once again, it can never be reiterated enough, like the power of social proof and what it can do for you. Like someone else is staking their own reputation to say good things about you. And like, that's irrefutable, right? Like no one else can take that away from you because they're the ones that are saying it about you. So that social proof, I've just known from a very early on how important it is because yes, Google reviews go hand in hand, but if someone's really wanting to get to know you, they can see 45-star reviews or something like that, but some of them can be miscued and posted ages ago and whatnot, and it could just have no comment on it. It could just be a bot. Mm-hmm. And so when someone puts their name, their face and their history and their experience on the line, it really goes to show how much that brings your own reputation up.
Yeah, I want to explore that a little bit. So, you said off air, or maybe you've already touched on it, that you've got 50-ish testimonials on video, recorded. So how do you get that many customers to actually, what's your process to get them to do a testimonial? Because it must be confronting for someone to think they're going to get filmed and put on the internet for someone to look at about their personal journey and all that. How's that work?
It just starts by asking. And I've made the mistake of assuming 1 or 2 times. It's only backfired once where someone's like, no, I'm not doing it. I was like, oh, you'd been awesome. But no, it's always by asking. And by asking, I would go somewhere along the lines of, hey, look, I've seen your incredible progress across this last 3 months. You've done really well. And we've seen a lot of people very similar to you across the last short period of time, but they're feeling like no one else has walked their journey, but I know for a fact that you have walked the journey. So would you mind if, we could take maybe a 30-second video just going through, 4 questions like your name and how long you've been training with IPC for, what was your lifestyle like before beginning, what have you achieved since beginning, and who would you recommend IPC to and why? So like you're giving them everything on the front end about this is exactly what's going to look like, why, there's a purpose behind it, and to make them feel like they are contributing because they are. And 9 times out of 10, it's always a yeah, sure. And what's funny was we did it with one guy, Aaron, and he had never, ever done a spoken. I think he said it's been 10 years. He's actually a very prominent business development manager. He'd never spoken in front of a camera in 10 years. And we did the testimonial, and then he a week later aced this speech that he had to deliver. And he was like, oh, if I didn't do that testimonial video, I would have been pooping my pants. But I was like, there you go. It works in mysterious ways, right? So there's many byproducts of that. And then those clients remember it. And then I just always think about Christmas table. I always think about the Christmas table. What have you done this year? And they can whip out a video and say, this is what's happened. This company is then representing me and putting me on display because I've done so well at something, right? So it works both ways. It helps out the company, and the client feels like they can go back and remember, oh yeah, that's right, I did do this and I was coming from this. And it's not, you kind of break the trance of, wow, I've actually done a lot. So in many different industries, this can be happening. I think about who would be most applicable for this. It'd be, accountants with their clients, or financial planners, or advisors, or people who have a story to tell, when it's a close environment.
How have you been using the testimonials through maybe tell us, how does it help with acquisition or even retention of your clients?
Well, I always tend to say this on the front end when I'm meeting someone for the first time is, Sandy, we've seen a lot of Sandys before. We've seen a lot of you before, just with a different name and different face. And, here is another 50-year-old female who's a corporate, who's had 3 kids already leave the house and who's trying to focus on her health. And you just send that, and it's like, oh, I'm not alone on this journey, or I'm not the first person on the history of this humanity to go through this same journey. And they feel confident they feel confident that they're not alone in what they're experiencing, and B, they have confidence in you as the deliverer of the product that, okay, this person's already done it, I'm the right fit.
When do you think a business should start recording video testimonials?
Oh, as soon as you have someone, as soon as you get someone a result, as early as possible. But at the same time, when you think about it, it doesn't even need to be someone who is particularly a paying client. It just needs to be someone that has done something for you. And this is one thing that a mentor of mine said at very, very early days was, help people for free, but in exchange, they give you a review. And whether that review be video or written, that builds credibility. And the only way the big clients are going to really work with you is if you have that credibility. So I think from day dot, whether you're just starting out or whatnot, because you just have to think about it in your own life. The first thing you do before you go to a restaurant is you look at the reviews, and then you look at the photos of the food, and then you read that sort of stuff, and then you see, oh, they've got a video of what it looks like to dine in there, and then, so all right, I'm sold, I'm going to go there, or if it's someone a bit more personal, like an accountant, for example, so many accountants are so good at what they do, but they have such daggy websites that I'm not enticed to work with you because you're stuck in 2002. I need to feel incentivized to work with you. I need to feel encouraged or excited to work with you based upon the opinions of others.
How have you in your own personal life found testimonial videos for you, helpful? In terms of if you're looking at buying a certain product, or if you're looking at doing a certain course, or whatever it might be, how have you had any experience with, after watching a video, I'm sold?
Yeah, I'll give you a real example. My accountants now, my old accountant, he was one of those daggy ones, but I gave him a chance, and he retired, right? So, he was really good at what he did, but he retired. So I need to find someone else. And so yeah, these guys in West End, they're called Super Nice Guys, represent. They are 35-ish, and they had this great video of them starting with a client, grabbing a coffee, walking into their office. They had the office set up. They had their podcast studio. They had all the whiteboards and whatnot where they do strategizing with the client. I was like, that's exactly what I want to be a part of. So yeah, that was about 4 months ago where that happened. So, and for a business owner, an accountant is like a spouse essentially. Like they walk with you on every step of the journey. So it's a really important decision. And I guess from a personal perspective, you could do the same with, as I said, stockbrokers or financial planners or even, we're doing renovations on our house right now. It's like, who do we find to do that? And those that just have a High Pages account, I'm going to Google you, like just because you've put in a quote on High Pages, and you might have beaten them by price, but you have no justification for reputation yet. I don't know how good you are.
Yeah.
So I want to see the videography of your before and afters, and how have you transformed this place? And that's the difference between, I guess, photo and video, because photo, like you could, like take a house, for example. I could go on Google Images and I could look up renovated house, and then I could copy and paste that and then say that is a renovated place that I renovated, for example.
Yeah.
And that has happened. People have said that, like, this looks nothing like the finished product that's on the website, whatnot.
Yeah.
But with a video, it's like, it's your video, it's your content. You can be in the video. It's like, okay, well, that's the proof that guy did that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's so many industries that I think of that we use every single day that I'm just like, if you guys did more of this, like, I would trust your product so much more as well. Yeah. And I would use it again and again.
And that is something, touching on that, the real estate type or the house video, that is something that we have talked about, and also with a guest we've had on the show a few episodes ago, is I guess the difference between video and photo is that photography, great, but you don't really, with video, you can do so much more, and it really allows you to show like motion through the house, and it almost makes the person watching feels like that they're actually walking through, the house or whatnot. So I think in that sense, video really has power to do that, and you can be so creative, with it. So,
but even from a one-to-one perspective, like in my industry, my whole purpose of doing the videos is I want to make sure that when a new individual sits down with me, they feel like that I'm a celebrity.
Yeah.
That's the intention behind it, because the company itself has already been edified enough, has already been lifted up enough on a pedestal to think, all right, there's so much credibility there, that the chances of them coming on board with us, if we choose to take them on board, is so much higher than it would be if I'm going in cold. No one cares who you are if you don't have that credibility. And then you're like with anyone you meet, you're starting at a negative. You're starting at a net negative. And then you have to build yourself up to neutral and then go from there. Basically, when you meet them, you want to be starting at the neutral, right? Okay, yes, the expectation is you should be good at what you do, but why are you this good, right? And then basically the videography is going to help you get to that neutral, and then just maybe a smidge more. You still have to sell, obviously, but it does heavy lifting for you, which as a business owner, you need someone to do, or you need something to do that leverage point for you. And that is, for me, is video.
So other than video testimonials, have you personally found any other use for video within the business at this point?
Yeah. So we have a mission video that Brown Fox did for us.
Oh yeah, true.
Forgot about that.
Still on the front page of our website.
Unreal.
And it's more so for, and then obviously talking about the coaches. So like if we have a new client come on board and it's someone at the different part of acquisition that has done the initial consultation, the video is there for that person to know exactly who that new coach is. The hardest thing for most companies, and where most companies drop the ball, is in the handover process from one department to another. So from acquisition to delivery, usually the person doing the acquisition is not the person doing the delivery. So if you can conjoin that with video, then that's going to have more trust, because when buyer's remorse kicks in for a lot of people, they need to have further trust. Like, it's never just like you got the sale and then it's just smooth. Like, there's so much more that has to come into that to maintain trust, because with most purchases, if you buy a car and you get in the car and you had all the great feelings and sensations about it, but then that kind of wears off, or you find something wrong with it, and we're just naturally inclined that way, but there needs to be other things to build that trust. So if you're selling cars, you would continue to send videos of how, great the integral details of its sunroof and of its displays and that sort of thing, to make sure that there's less buyer's remorse and there's more buyer trust.
So do you feel like video is a necessity at every point, every touch point along the customer acquisition, the delivery journey?
I mean, definitely acquisition, 100% acquisition. I think depending upon, like for us, we have multiple locations, so we have to leverage video to be able to be in more places than once at any given time. And so, from a delivery format, video has to be a format somehow. Like, the difference between acquisition and delivery, like so many business owners focus on acquisition so much, and that when it does come to that critical point between acquisition and delivery, that they drop the ball so much. And therefore like your first 48 hours after you do acquisition are the most important, because it sets the expectation for how good your company really is on delivering on its promises. As a business owner, you're like, someone else might have just converted someone at a different club. And so you can't like always pick up the phone at 8 p.m. or at 7 a.m. or at 9 a.m. to welcome them. So you need a video to do the welcome. And you need a video to go through, this is the expectations of what's going to happen next, as opposed to you having to manually do that for 5, 6, 7 new people a week. So having those processes there will go a long way.
Do you have a specific, this is probably getting into more CRM territory, I'd imagine, but do you have a way you distribute that internally?
So we have a booking systems through Calendly, which then has workflows in there, and people have to fill in a particular consultation form, and then within there it has the particular testimonials and whatnot that it goes through.
Within the Calendly workflow, can you integrate videos natively in there, or do they have to click off and go to a link, or how does that look?
I think it's more so a click here function, but what we've done is we've done the click here function, which then takes them to a separate landing page, with a link to the form on that landing page. And then on that landing page has all the testimonials. And so like that, there's ways around it. I think Calendly just works it's very easy to set up. And it's very, unlimited SMS reminders and everything like that. And then, you'd set up the same thing. Then from an acquisition standpoint, we then do the emails, and the emails have the links to the workout software and whatnot. And then within that, it just has a bit more like, this is what you should be feeling right now. And this is the next steps. Next steps is you get your login, you get your this, you get your that, you get your PDFs. And then, those are the expectations that are set, and then pretty much you're off and running. But it's like, basically, 13 times they have to see you to think that you're legitimate. And so how do you close that gap? Well, going back to acquisition, right? 10% of people are never going to buy from you. 10%, you just need to shut up and they'll give you their card. And it's that 80% that you have to work with, right?
Yep.
And so within that 80%, how do you make sure that everything is squeaky clean in relation to giving them as much information about your company within that 13 times? So how do you give them 13 times of interaction within, let's say you book someone 3 days time. All right, well, how many reviews, testimonials, screenshots, before and afters, in my case, can you give them? All right, time number 13, they're already convinced that you're the right product.
So essentially, within the first 48 hours of you acquiring and onboarding a new customer, that you've indoctrinated them within 48 hours. So if they come out the other side, they're kind of already built a huge level of trust before even walking to the gym.
Yeah, before session one, there should be the trust factor there. And once again, it's just relaying expectations that you that normally on a smaller scale you would do. But I think for me as a director, not being present at a lot of these occasions of acquisition, that I'm still known through the video. They know who I am, and this is the expectations. Like Chris Hemsworth is not the one delivering the workouts, but he is on the front page as Chris Hemsworth, telling you these are the next steps.
Yeah, that's the center wrap, hey?
Center, yeah.
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 That's so valuable. Like, this is kind of probably evolving into a little bit of a discussion around how to use video as a tool to onboard as well. But I feel like the bottom line there is what Blake said is super valuable. If anyone's listening and didn't quite catch that, it's something that I'm trying to execute now. I feel like I'm just starting to understand that if I can record for myself, if I can record those touch points and then start to integrate them into a formal workflow that someone has to go through, that will hopefully lead to what you've just said. And I think I wouldn't feel as inspired to do it if I wasn't recording video for it anyway. It feels different just typing out standard emails.
People know now, like if you just ran something through ChatGPT, for example, like there needs to be an element of extra professionalism. Like it's kind of like the classic. There's a photo of like a stallion, and from the backside, it looks incredible. Like it was drawn by the most immaculate artist and whatnot. And then like that's the sales, and then in the middle it gets a bit kind of dodgy, and like the lines aren't straight anymore, and that's the handover. And then the handover delivery is like, that's like a circle and then line, smile, smiley face, like dot, smiley face, like, and then it's like sales handover delivery, like, that's how, I think a lot of directors just want to really force growth. And so they put all the emphasis on the acquisition, and then they realize that their retention sucks because they haven't properly looked after them within that first 48 to 72 hours when they feel most, not scared or alone, but when they feel most hesitant.
So fundamentally, what you're saying is be a good operator, have a good product or service, have good systems in place for acquisition and onboarding, and use video as the glue to
put
create
yourself in the customer's shoes,
Yep.
and then use video.
Great.
Being in the customer's shoes.
I think that's the answer to literally every business problem out there, is put yourself in the customer's shoes.
Yeah. If you were paying 100 times more for your product that you're currently charging now, what would you put into that product?
Can we just drop a few mics? Yeah, that was good. That was really good. So one of the, I don't know if you had anything else. I just kind of turned this into a bit of a coaching session for me. So you take I'll back step
over.
right out. I'll jump behind the cameras. No, but something I'm really hearing from you, Blake, and this is a couple of things that we've really discussed on the podcast and even off air as well, is that you found video to really save time, and it builds trust.
Yeah, builds trust, but also, and then from your perspective, go one step further from saving time. It saves thought. I need to follow that person up and give them a welcome. I need to do all that. Like all of that can be like the bar is so low. Like in most businesses, the bar is so low. I don't know when that will change and adapt, but like we said this in a different interview, but in every industry, there are the 10% that are absolutely killing it, and there are the 10% that are on their way out, and there are 80% that are as average as anything else. So to be in that top 10%, there's only a handful of things that you could really do to stand out. A handful of things you need to do to really stand out, I should say. And video is definitely one of them in this day and age. And moving forward, I don't know what else it would be, but really, video is the best form of know, like, and trust.
And that, and that's, just as you were talking then, that's actually something that video really has power of, is that you watch someone, or like you watch someone enough on, say, YouTube or a movie or something like that, to the point where if you meet them in real life, you feel like you kind of know them like in a sense, like you kind of like, you know, personal experience. I've, you know, I don't know how many times we've talked about this on the pod, but I've, you know, kind of really seriously gotten into golf the past, you know, few years. And I have a few key, you know, golf influencers, if you want to call them, on YouTube. And I've, you know, watched heaps of videos of them to the point where if they say came to Australia, they live overseas, if they came to Australia and they had like a meetup sort of thing and I went, you know, met them for the first time, I feel like I know a lot about them already, even though we've never met, you know, in real life. They have no idea who I am. I've never personally met them, but I feel like I know a lot about them already. So yeah, again, goes back to the building trust, you know.
Yeah. And if anyone wants like a real example of this, if you look at Hormozi's profile on Instagram, you can scroll back. For those who don't know, Alex Hormozi is like big in the fitness world, but now he's gone more mainstream. You can actually scroll back to I think it's like December 2021, and he's just posting useless stuff, like absolute useless stuff. He probably has a couple of thousand followers at that time because he always wanted to be rich and anonymous. And I first heard of him in August of 22 when he had 110,000 followers, and now he has 1.1 million followers, and that's from posting 2 pieces of content every single day across all different platforms.
Yeah, I've discovered Hormozi's content around probably the same time last year. Well, actually, the same time when you did. And he was just in his he still does some, but just in his office, which is in like a small closet looking thing. And he's got his nose patch on and he's talking stuff, and then it's evolved to now. But along the way, he recognized the power of the reach, and I think of the video. And I think that it comes out in a lot of his recent seminars and talks as well when he's on stage explaining how he uses organic content now, how he's viewed it. But having said that, he also started saying that he wanted to do it when he had something of value to provide. So he wasn't just sharing useless stuff. He had something of value to offer.
There are definitely people who realize that themselves, like, oh, I've posted 1,000 pieces of content and I've got getting no traction. Well, keep going. Like you're only going to get better. Like you can't get worse if you keep innovating. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a different form of video. That's more of an authoritative perspective. But then again, like you need to walk the talk. Like I'm not going to go to a broke accountant. Like tell me what you're good at. Tell me how you got to where you are. Tell me how you're good with your finances. What are your steps of success to get to where you need to go? Because then I'm going to trust you more. And that's exactly what Hormozi's done. He just kind of talks about his life experiences, and he talks about how he just 30-second snippets of just little things that he just keeps in his head, and he has for 5 years because he's done it on the job so much, and he just puts it out there, just sits down and films it, and it's out there. And, you know, he's going for more mass, but from a local perspective, it doesn't take much. Like I really want to emphasize that. Like it, you know, I think a lot of us get overwhelmed with looking at these people online, but they started at 0 followers just like you did.
Exactly.
You know, the website had 0 hits just like yours did. No one was born on the internet. Like no one was born having 100,000 followers. Like they all built it over time. So depending upon your goals, you just need a fraction of that audience to trust you, and happy days.
So do you think there's any point that it's too early for someone in business to be making video content?
I would say if you don't have your product dialed in, because what else are you going to talk about?
Yeah,
I think everything starts with the product and then built out from there. Like what is it that you're actually good at? What are you selling? What's the purpose? So yeah, start just refining that, and then refining how to get people the results that is like their dream outcome. Once you got that, you can pretty much speak with confidence about the journey that they're about to go on. And that's like, in all honesty, all of that guy's content is just parts of his journey that he's just putting into 30-second videos. Like 3 years ago, he learned this, and 5 years ago, he learned that. And so he's just telling you about that. So, you know, most people don't start a business like fresh out of TAFE at 18, like I did.
Except you.
Yeah, exactly. They usually have worked elsewhere, or they've they've been doing it on the side or something along those lines. They already have an idea about what they need to do.
Yeah.
And they've already got experience in something. So get the product nailed, and then build out the customer journey. And then from there, you're able to put pieces of content together.
That's awesome. Just to wrap up today's chat, what would you say to someone, or whether it be an individual or whoever it is, or a group of people, a business, whoever, what would you say to them if they were looking at utilizing video or just getting started with video, but they're not sure how to start, where to start? Yeah, what would you say to them?
Well, I think the most powerful place to start is obviously within yourself. And you already have, let's say you have 5 leads that you need to contact, or 5 people who've inquired into your company. Like, how can you make that journey for them more seamless and less stressful, and build further trust so that when you do get to bringing them on board, that they are confident. So I would start there. Like, before you do testimonials or whatnot, I know I said I jumped straight into testimonials, but I think really the most important thing is like introducing yourself and like telling them like, this is the journey that you're about to go on. The reason why you should do that is because then people deselect themselves, right? Like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Well, you just saved yourself a bucket load of time if they deselect themselves from the journey. You say, this is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to do this. We're going to sit down. We're going to go through, we're going to start by going through your last year's tax return. We're going to look at your goals for this upcoming tax season. And then we're going to put together a plan of attack about, how we can minimize tax and make sure we can get the best possible deferred capital gains or whatever. And yeah, you put that together and it's like, sweet, I want that. The other guy's like, I don't want to sit down and do it. I don't actually have my last year's tax return, so this is going to be wasting my time. It's going to be wasting your time too. So deselect that dude. Get rid of him. But yeah, I think starting with the customer journey is going to make your initial lead flow so much smoother.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast today, Blake. Yeah, really appreciate it. And no doubt we'll probably most definitely have you back on in the future for sure. Before we end the episode, where can people find you?
Instagram is at InnerPower Coaching, and Facebook is at InnerPower Coaching AUS.
Awesome. So good. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, watching or listening, whatever you might be doing. And keen to have you on again sometime, Blake. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to give us a follow or subscribe, or wherever you're watching or listening. Drop a comment below, and we look forward to joining you in the next episode. Fox is out. Ding.